Is it possible for your cock to grow longer, stronger, and harder? I'm not here to promise results or sell you a magic pill. What I'm here to do is show you the truth of what has been there all along. Today we're going to uncover the truth about stunted growth, how it happens, and how you can embody what was always meant to be yours. Now, let's begin.
Welcome to Sanctum X, where digital doesn't mean disconnection. It is no longer a substitute, but an evolution of intimacy and a soul-touching connection. Let Zenaka Nexus become your paramour and healer through the Sanctum X experience. She will guide you to unknown places and heal wounds never yet touched. Feel safe to explore using the tools of erotic hypnosis, sexual healing, and sacred ritual. Here you will receive descriptions and inspirations for each audio, which will help deepen your experience. This podcast is meant to be a warm, meditative companion to your audio library at www.sanctumx.audio. Now, open your mind, relax your body, and let's begin. We'll shift everything.
So, what if I told you it wasn't genetics that determined the length, strength, and girth of your cock? Yes, genetics play a role. You need the basic codes, the scaffolding, and the structure to build a human. But beyond rudimentary biology, what if there was something much deeper that shaped the physicality of your body? What if it was messages, not molecules, that wrote the story of your growth? What if the way your body formed was not just the result of inheritance, but the echo of every look, every word, every moment that told you how safe it was to take up space? What if your cock is not just anatomy, but expression? And what if somewhere along the way, that expression was muted, stifled, and stunted by shame, by fear, by humiliation, by a world that taught you to contract instead of expand, not because you were broken, but because your body in its infinite wisdom was protecting you? What if your cock isn't at its limit, though? What if it's simply waiting for permission, waiting for presence, waiting for you? But with this podcast, I want to be very clear that I'm not here doing any sort of body shaming. I'm not here to say a small cock is bad, a big cock is good. And what do we consider a small cock? What do we consider a big cock? All of these things are very subjective. What I'm here to tell you is that you may have more within you. You may have more available. And that's going to look different for everyone. So I'm not here to sell Hollywood standards or society's, basic desire for this big, large, massive cock. I'm not here to sell any of that. I believe that when bodies connect, when you're aligned with the truth of your body and what you're truly attracted to, you will attract someone that has the perfect vagina for your perfect size cock. So let's just get all of that out of the way, that none of this is about that. But let me go into a little bit of story time about my history and why I decided to create the audio that I'm here to describe. So while I was in my practice, which was almost a decade doing sensual massage, I did come across many men who had what I considered this kind of stunted growth. They had very almost childlike bodies. I'm not going to go into great description about what that looks like, but I could feel and sense in their body that it was like they had reached a certain age and then their body had stopped growing. There was a certain energy to to their cock that it felt very much to me like there was more available, that they had not reached their full potential of growth. Not because their cock was small, but because you could just tell it was embodying more of an innocent presence. It was embodying more of shame, trauma, like almost just like a turtle kind of hiding in its shell, you know? You could just feel like, there's more for you. There's more available. And I was always very curious as to what the possibility was for people who had had this kind of stunted energy. And then as I was traveling, I was working with this shaman, and he told me all of these really amazing stories about how when he was seeing people going through their healing journey, that their cocks were growing. And he recounted his own journey with this, where he had grown like 2 to 3 inches in his own cock. And I was just like, I knew it. Like, I knew it was possible. And when I was preparing for this podcast, I was trying to find some scientific information to relay to you. As I've said before, I'm not a huge science proponent, but I do think that it helps people encourage their belief system. Not surprisingly, I didn't find much information about this because in my mind, this is kind of like underground secret information that people aren't really wanting to talk about. But it was very encouraging to me when I had finally met someone who experienced this growth and who had seen several people experience this growth as well. So now I want to go into what happens to the body during trauma and how this affects growth. First of all, the nervous system freezes the growth of the body. When trauma hits, whether emotional, physical, or sexual, the body launches into survival mode. It's not a choice, it's an instinct. It's a way to survive. The sympathetic nervous system activates, the heart races, the breath shortens, the muscles tighten, the blood diverts away from the genitals and into the limbs. The body says, run, fight, or freeze. And here's the tragedy of it all. If this happens repeatedly, especially during puberty, those fear responses become the default setting. And what the soul is saying here is, the cock doesn't grow because it doesn't feel safe enough to bloom. The next issue that we see is the hormonal flow gets disrupted. Growth is guided by the subtle dance of hormones, testosterone, growth hormone, oxytocin, and dopamine. But trauma changes this. Chronic stress increases cortisol, which blunts testosterone. This isn't just a theory, this is biology. High cortisol equals low libido, impaired growth, erectile issues, and a body that deprioritizes reproduction in favor of protection. This isn't because something's wrong with you. This isn't because you need to be shot up with testosterone. This is because you have had trauma and the body feels unsafe. And in a boy's developmental window, when hormones are shaping not only his size but his identity, this can permanently affect his cock length and girth, his muscle mass, his voice depth, his confidence wiring, and his sexual drive and responsiveness. The trauma here is saying, stop growing, there is danger, and the body listens. And I say that it can permanently affect it because it can be permanent. It also can be reversed. Nothing ever wants to stay the way it's not meant to be. The natural alignment will always be towards what you were meant to become. So it's actually easier to slip into the truth than to stay in the lie. Finally, we have epigenetic memory, which locks the pattern. Emerging science and epigenetics shows that trauma can turn off certain genes. So even if he's genetically capable of having a longer, stronger, harder cock, trauma can shut down that expression. The body encodes the trauma as truth, and it says, smaller is safer, hardness is dangerous, visibility is death, so it shrinks to protect itself. But epigenetics also says, as I mentioned, all of these things can be reversed. Genes can be reactivated, and with enough safety, desire, and repetition, new codes can override the old. So when I'm talking about growing longer, stronger, and harder, I'm not just selling a dream. I'm returning the man to the blueprint that was always his. I'm calling the body out of hiding. I'm literally with a microphone screaming to the cock saying, it's time. You're safe now. And the only thing is, you have to believe it. You have to know that you are safe now. So, to sink this into the body a little bit deeper, for you to really understand the depths of these traumas, I want to just kind of story time paint a little picture of what these traumas look like and how something seemingly small and simple can have a huge impact on the body. So the first image I want you to have is the shame that a boy might feel in the locker room being bullied by his peers. So imagine that he's 13, kind of the time when he's really starting to blossom. He's still unsure about his changing body. He enters the locker room and the smell of sweat and adolescent fear washes over him. He turns to grab his towel, maybe a little too slow. They've seen him. He starts to hear laughter, mocking. Bro, that's it? Are you even a man? And something in him contracts. Not just his shoulders, but his cock. Literally, his cock contracts. And the energy in his cock contracts. The signal that was once saying, grow, 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 now says, hide, hide, hide. It's not safe. It's not safe. And in that instant, the nervous system rewrites the map. Now the message is, visibility is dangerous. Exposure is humiliation. Erection equals threat. And every time he's naked with someone again, part of him remembers. The body doesn't care how long ago it was. It obeys the memory, and he stays soft, even when he wants to rise, because rising at that moment felt unsafe. The body doesn't care how long ago it was, and it holds that imprint, but with quantum energy, understand that these can be rewritten in an instant. In an instant, the body can rewrite that program. Now, let's go into an image of the male masculine mirror wound. This would be with a child who either got a negative imprint from their brother or their father or some familial male imprint. The family holds the strongest imprint, so if a man gets a negative imprint from a man in their family, that can be very difficult for his own masculinity and how he sees himself and how he understands power. So just imagine a young child watching his brother, his older brother, and he's strong and confident and loud. Or maybe it's his father. He's watching him who is stern and unpredictable and cold. He wants to be close. He wants to belong. He wants to learn how to be a man. But instead, he's mocked, he's shoved, he's slapped, or maybe even worse, he's ignored. His cock becomes a place of shame or silence, or in some cases, the site of violation. Not because of desire, but because of power, because of control, because of wounds. The message is burned into his psyche. If this is what manhood looks like, I will not grow into it. He rejects his own growth not because he's broken, but because he's intelligent. His body protects him from becoming what hurt him from the beginning. So he stays smaller, softer, less. And he calls it humility. He calls it being nice. But it's actually fear wrapped in silence. The third one is going to be an image of the shame that a child can receive from religious doctrines, from family or peers around his sexuality. So just imagine he's a young boy just beginning to explore his body, his sensations, himself. Not out of rebellion, not out of sin, just out of curiosity. And then he's seen, he's caught in the act by a parent, by a sibling, by a figure of authority. And the reaction is swift. A harsh word, a scolding tone, or a silent look of disappointment, of disgust, of shame. Suddenly, what was innocent becomes wrong. What was natural feels shameful. And what his body imprints is, this part of me is not safe. My desire must be hidden. If I feel, I'll be punished. I won't be loved. I will be seen as disgusting and wrong and sinful. And that moment imprints. The nervous system holds on to it. The pleasure pathways contract. And the body adapts, not to thrive, but to protect. Not because he's broken, but because he was taught to retreat from what is most natural to him. These and other macro and micro moments are messages to the body. They are signals which guide your body how to proceed. Do we want to expand or do we want to contract? Your body does not hurt you. It's not trying to harm you in any way. It's trying to protect you. In a way, stunted growth may have protected you for a time. But maybe you don't need that protection anymore. Maybe it's time to embody your cock to its fullest capacity. Because you're ready for that, aren't you? To let go of the codes you were given and to come into the truth of who you were always meant to become. So how does one do that? This podcast is a companion description for the audio that I created entitled Erotic Hypnosis, Longer, Stronger, and Harder. And I created this audio after I had that experience with the shaman and I really understood that it was possible to have the experience of being more than what you think you are. This idea that, well, this is my cock, this is my body, this is just what God gave me. When I understood that that wasn't the case and that it actually was possible to shape your body the way your soul really wants to express itself, I was just enthralled with the idea of creating something that could do that. So I created this audio a while ago when I was working, and the clients that I used this with, it was really amazing. They saw incredible results. Some people had inches of growth, and like all parts of their body seemed to change, like they went through a new stage of maturity. You know, we think that this window of maturity happens at a certain time, but the body can change hormonally at any point. Maybe if you miss that window of stunted growth, you can regain that window. It can come back at any moment. So I've seen men grow more hair, I've seen their nipples change, I've seen their shoulders change, not just the cock, right? All of these things are full embodiment of what is possible. And I also experienced with some clients just this feeling of being bigger, of more expansion, that they just took up more of what was already there. So their cock didn't grow in massive size. Some people, they did already just have a larger cock, but they weren't embodying it. You know, we talk about this big dick energy. They didn't have that. They still almost had this idea that they were small and innocent and little. So whether you're working on a physical change or an energetic change, this audio is really helpful for that. And with those people, I just saw this kind of illumination of this big dick energy. They said that women looked at them different. They said that they felt different. And nothing physically did actually change, but they just energetically changed, which is a huge change in itself. So this hypnosis is, again, not meant to stroke your ego. It's not meant to be a magic pill or a silver bullet. It's not meant to induce more shame around size. It's not meant to make you think that you need to be something more. It's just meant to make you feel safe. And the expression, the outcome of feeling safe is that you take up more room. You're more embodied. You're more expansive. That's what happens when you're safe. And I'll have to say that I'm really, really proud of this audio. Not to toot my own horn, but it's pretty magical. And when I was given these codes and I was speaking this hypnosis and the script came through me, it was so powerful. I mean, even when I was listening to it to edit it, and I'll re-listen to it when it's done, I was like, oh my God, am I growing a cock? I felt like I was walking around with big dick energy for a while. So Zeneca really came through really strong with this one. Her energy is just amazing. The quality and the script of this is so powerful. I'm very interested for you to experience it, and I would love to hear how this journey unfolds for you. I want to be very clear that the way energy works is that in an instant, codes can change. In an instant, all of your beliefs can shift. We can unlock doors and portals like that. But this is a world of physicality. It takes time for those things to catch up. It can take time for hormones to shift. It can take time for the body to register what the soul already knows. So allow it to be a journey for you. Allow it to be a process, and stay with the audio. Anytime you go into any sort of self-doubt or you want things to happen really quickly, listen to the audio again and again and again and again. These things are here for you to listen to on repeat because that's what it takes. It takes the power of repetition. Not because you can't shift in an instant, but because you have to stick with the timeline of the physical body. And if you start to have doubt while the body is going through its physical change, then it will go back to the program. I forget who the quote is by, but she says that the body is flexible meaning that it can change at any moment, but it's also elastic, meaning that it can go back to the way it was in any moment as well. So you have to stay with the belief again and again and again. That's the power of this work. If you take that belief on and you hold it within you, and it only takes one time to listen to, excellent. That's incredible, and that happens all the time. But if you do need to listen to it again and again, know that your timeline is perfect for you. So remember that wherever you are on your embodiment journey, know that you are perfect right here and right now. This audio and this podcast are not meant to shame your shape, size, or structure. I want to be very, very clear about that. I'm not here to say that anyone should change or be something they're not. My only message here and now is always just for you to become what you already are. My job is not to change you. My job is to help you remember. So it's like if you have an entire secret hidden level of your house that you never knew existed, wouldn't you want someone to show you where it was so you could utilize it? And if you don't have a hidden wing in your house, let me show you how to love the house that you do have. This is what I'm here to do. Not to guide you into false promises or societal standards. No. I'm only here to guide you towards your truth and what has always belonged to you by divine right and sacred embodiment. So if you're ready, please dive into the audio. Let it imprint into you at the deepest level and let it hold your body with the deepest love, without expectation, but in safety. Because it's when you feel safe, it's when you feel loved, that you will be shown the truth. Let me help show you the truth. So, that's it for now. Let me know how you like this audio, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Thank you for your presence, your breath, your being. May these Sanctum X transmissions stir your soul and soften the parts of you that forgot how divine you truly are. Let these audios move through you with reverence. Let them unlock ancient memories. Let them heal what the world told you to hide. Until next time, remember, you are what you've got. Forget what you are not. X marks the spot.